I first came down here 9 years ago for a weekend because Carolina Irving, who was my business partner at the time, showed me all these photographs of this area, and I was really curious to come and see it. So I came for the weekend and completely fell in love with Melides because it so reminded me of a place called Plettenberg Bay in South Africa 50 years ago where I grew up. It took me 4 years to get my husband to come down here for the weekend and look, and miraculously I forced him to buy this piece of land. And the house was built in 18 months, which nobody had ever seen a house being built so fast. It's been a whole new life for us. It really has been transformative. And I was worried that I wouldn't be around long enough to enjoy this house once it was finished, but miraculously I've been here nearly 2 years now, and it's a complete dream. Designing a drawing room is always difficult, and obviously every space dictates how you can do it. If at all possible, I love the luxury of being able to have 2 seating areas, because in winter you've got the main part of the drawing room with the fireplace, and then on the other side also in winter you've got the long banquette under the panoramic window, which is wonderful for being able to have dinner at, and the table over there is extendable so you can seat 10 to 12 people on that side. Because the weather is so fantastic in Portugal, we hardly ever sit inside in summer. We sit outside all the time, but in winter we congregate around the fire and can watch television here as well. Everything in the room has a memory, most of them which bring a smile to one's face, but that's what really makes home home, because each item is personal. It doesn't matter if it's a little bit broken or tattered, it just tells a story for us. I love these candlesticks, which are Mexican. I bought from a Christian Louboutin who lives further down the road. Has got a little shop in Melides called Vida Dura. The upholstery was all made in England or Spain because I think really comfortable upholstery, deep upholstery, sofas you can lie and sleep on is one of the most important things in a room. Both the sofas are covered just in white linen, which I think is a wonderfully cool look, but because I can't bear dirty marks on anything, I've got these 2 ochre throws over the sofas, which stops any marks getting on them. The 2 armchairs are in my Domenica fabric. People have such a fear of things not matching or not being the same period, but I don't mind if things are glued together or tatty and ratty at the ends. It makes them far more personal and personable. And I think one should never be frightened of just throwing things into a room that you like, and they find their own home somehow. First of all, I think a woman or a cook is always better at designing a kitchen. I think everything should be within reaching distance, and I think having 2 sinks in the kitchen is incredibly important. And surprisingly, this kitchen works incredibly well. It's the best kitchen I've ever had, because you've got the cooker and the ovens, and it's got a great view, and you've got ceiling fans, and it's a complete joy to work in. The floor tiles in here, I saw them in a restaurant outside Tangier, and I tracked down someone who could make them for me there. And I think the 2 colours that dominate my mind are green and red. The ceramics in the kitchen, well, obviously, I wanted all the plates that we use every day to be accessible. I think it's quite fun to see them rather than having everything closed in a cupboard. Those are all Penny Morrison ceramics. And my ultimate luxury in this kitchen is having a walk-in fridge, which is round the corner, which up until now we've just used as a cupboard. But when the house is full of people, it's fantastic to have a big walk-in fridge because you can keep vegetables and things fresh in there. And I love cooking. And it's great fun to chuck together a whole lot of new people and see how they all get on. So that is my ultimate treat down here, is entertaining. What I love about this bedroom is that I can lie in bed, look at the view, listen to the birds in the morning. Although this bedroom has air conditioning, I hardly ever turn it on. I have the ceiling fan on at night, sometimes just because it makes the room cozy, and I love this gentle sound of a ceiling fan going round. I wanted the bedroom to be predominantly white in this case. The beds in this house I had made in the local blacksmith in Kington, our local village. He was rather surprised when I asked him. But I think a really high bed is fantastic. The bed head is made out of my Haveli fabric. The curtain's just white linen, when I used the border of by Arabella fabric because I wanted it to be, as I said, predominantly white, but I rather love the border. And then the red and white striped rug. I love striped rugs. The shell mirror, Guy gave it to me for Christmas a few years ago, even before we were building the house. It was made by Sophie Topley, who makes lots of shell items. And the bedside tables were just from Dunelm. And I got Meg Boscawen, who's a lovely young girl, to paint the designs on them. By doing things like painting bedside tables or taking random bits and changing them, you get your own unique look. So it makes things a one-off. The pictures in this room and in the bathroom are all just little flower pictures I bought from Etsy or eBay. I love them to sort of randomly put together like one's own little private art collection. None of them are worth very much, but I love the colours in all of them. Love flower paintings. My bathroom is really my sanctuary. I tend to bath in the evenings if I'm really tired or cold and shower in the mornings. The stone in this bathroom is Portuguese stone, which is very widely used, and I wanted it to look fairly natural and not too hotel-y. I usually have a few things around the bath, like the terracotta jugs and things I've got. And around the window and shower are Portuguese azulejos tiles. Throughout the house, lighting is so important. I never put ceiling lights. I think wall lighting and candles and table lamps are so much more soft and inviting. When we bought the land, I had, as I said, drawn out what I wanted on paper, but it's quite a narrow plot, although it's very long. So we've got our 2 bedrooms and the drawing room and the veranda on the ground floor. But because it was quite steep at the back, we had to do steps up, and in a way it worked very well that the guest bedrooms are on a separate level up at the back with their own big terrace, so guests can feel totally separate, like in 2 suites away from us. In terms of the furnishing of this room, it's leftovers, so this is very much a thrown together look of different bits and pieces, and I don't really care about mixing patterns so long as it's something a little bit interesting to look at. So with the mix of the carpet, and this is an old canter cloth, and then a bed valance of my fabric, and that's an old Cezanne, which I love. Table mats and straw hat and a few odd pictures that were left over. I think it's important to have a mixture of interesting things without cluttering a room too much. Both these bedrooms are not enormous, but they have lovely big double doors out onto the terrace, and the terrace is huge. It's probably twice the size of the bedrooms, but it's got lovely covered space to lie down, or if you go and stand at the edge, it looks down over the rice fields. And there's always a gentle breeze blowing up here, so it's a wonderful place to relax and have a bit of me time for them and a bit of them time for me. Carolina told me about this man called Felipe Suarez from Sigmatum, which is a nursery near Setúbal. He feels incredibly strongly that all the plants in his nursery are local plants. And they came here in April last year, a team of 5 of them, laid out with bulldozers and things all the different parts of the garden, put in irrigation everywhere and planted the entire garden in 3 weeks. I wanted grapevines growing up the pillars, which are just beginning to take shape now. And I am obsessed with outside living. I think the veranda is a very important part of a house, but particularly this house, because the house itself isn't huge. We tend to sit out here all day long. We eat out here, we lie on the sofa to read a book or look at the birds. Literally all of this came from Morocco. The woven chairs and sofas came from a company in Tangier, and then all the rest came from roadside makers. They make incredible chairs. The fabrics on all these outdoor chairs are part of the recent collection of Penny Morrison outdoor fabrics, and I like them because they're quite so soft and subtle. They've got pretty colours, and you can sort of mix and match any of them together. So lots of people who come here when they first arrive say, "Oh, don't you have a pool?" And I say, if you walk 20 feet in front of you, you'll see the rosemary hedge, and directly below that is the swimming pool, sort of cosily set away on its own, which is a nice little surprising element. What's become a biggest pleasure for us being down here every time we come back is rushing around to see what's grown or is growing, and to constantly add to a garden, as one always does. A garden, as Philippe told me in the beginning, is an ever-evolving thing. You can't do it in one fell swoop. And we have, as I said, so many birds flying up and down. It's just a complete nature reserve and totally quiet. If we go to visit friends in Comporta or go to the beach restaurants. There's something incredibly relaxing about getting back here to our own tranquil little world.